Hi guys, welcome back. I know what you're probably thinking. Today's video was supposed to be the start of my shop reorganisation or makeover, however you want to look at it. And that was my intention, but my stepdaughter's actually moving out on Monday and she was trying to get some pictures off the wall which she'd stuck up with so-called easily removable picture tape, only she couldn't get it off the wall. So I went up there and basically yanked it off the wall, pulled a big chunk of the plaster off the wall and broke the frame. So I told her I would actually make a replacement frame. So don't worry, the workshop makeover is going ahead. I've just had some other stuff to do this week, but it is coming, so don't worry about that. Right guys, for this job I'm going to be using these bed slats that I found. They're held together with some thin rope and a load of staples. So the first thing I needed to do was remove the staples, and to do that I'm just using a flathead screwdriver and an old pair of pliers. So I'm not worried about the holes left by the staples as they're going to be on the back side anyway. So once they were removed, I could use the old frame as a template and mark where I needed to cut. Then I could extend the lines with my set square. And once I'd marked one piece up, I then stacked two pieces together and transferred the marks onto the second piece on the opposite side. Then I could take the pieces to the miter saw, make the first cut, and then without changing the direction on the saw, I could flip the pieces and make the second cut. And by stacking them in pairs, it ensures that both top and bottom and left and right are identical to one another, and that should make lining the corners up slightly easier. So once it was cut, I could assemble it on the bench just to check that the corners all lined up as they should. Then using the set square, I could mark up where I wanted to cut the rebate, which will hold the picture and the backing. So I'm going to use a table saw for this. So I first set the blade height to the exact height I need it, and then I can run the pieces through one edge to make the first cut. Then I can reset the fence and make the second cut. So before gluing the pieces together, I do a dry fit just to make sure they line up reasonably well and that the back fits. So then I could start gluing the frame together, and this was a little bit tricky because the slats that I was using were slightly twisted, so it was a little bit tricky aligning the mitered corners up, but with the help of a picture frame clamp and a little bit of patience, I managed to do it in the end. So the next day I could remove the clamps and give it a quick sand just to flush up the corners a little bit. Then I could add a nice profile to the outer edge. Followed by a final sand, and the edges are actually done by hand. Then I could check just to make sure the back did actually fit in the rebate. Then I decided I was going to route the name on the frame, and that's where it all went Pete Tong. Right guys, I have just made a big boo-boo. I was supposed to be routing the name Cleo, and I put the templates in place, read it a couple of times, started routing, and I haven't written Cleo, I've written Chloe. The last two letters were round the wrong way. I know what you're thinking, why didn't I route this before I made the frame? And the reason for that is I didn't know that I was going to be routing the name on the frame. Normally, as most of my regular subscribers will know, I don't normally have plans. I start off with a basic idea and it evolves as I work my way through the build. The name was kind of an afterthought that I thought I'd add, and that's why I didn't do it before. Now it means I've got to find a way to hide my mistake. I very nearly threw it across the workshop, but we are going to persevere. I am not giving up. So to cover up my mistake, I decided to route the letters on a separate piece of wood and then mount that to the frame like a plaque. And if you look closely, you'll see that somehow I've managed to still put the last two letters round the wrong way, but this time I noticed before I started routing them, so I was able to swap them round and avoid making a second disaster. Then I could clean up the inside of the letters with a rotary tool. Then I cut the shape out and rounded the corners on the disc sander. So I then decided, as it was Valentine's Day, I'd actually cut out some hearts and stick those on the corners of the frame, one for decoration and two to help strengthen the corners. So once I was happy with the shape, I then used that as a template to make more. Next job was to paint the frame, and I'm using some normal matte black spray paint. The heart's got painted red, and for that I'm using a 2-part lacquer that I got from Lidl, and it's surprisingly good quality. So I was quite happy with the finish on the hearts until I somehow managed to catch the piece of wood and knocked them on the dusty workshop floor, and 3 out of 4 landed paint side down. Typical. So for the name plaque, I was going to leave it black and then decided that it'd probably look nicer having the outside white and the letters black. So I filled the letters up with some masking tape. Wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it turned out okay in the end. Then it was just a case of sticking the hearts in place, and for that I'm just using wood glue and some CA glue to hold it in place while the glue dries. Then I could staple the backing and the picture in place, add the name plaque, and that was the finished frame. Right guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Hopefully I can make a start on the workshop in the very near future if nothing else crops up, so make sure you stay tuned for that. As always, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Share with your friends, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel and you like woodworking disasters, tool reviews and general DIY videos, then subscribe and tap the bell icon. So until the next one, stay safe and I'll see you soon.